What's up, guys? Welcome to No Code Bros. I'm Nick, and over the next few weeks, we're going to be building a Linktree clone. And I'm talking profile page, dashboard page, complete with analytics, and a landing page for users to sign up on. We've got all of this coming. This past week, we did the profile page, but somebody during the live stream forgot to hit record. So we're going to do it again really quick, down and dirty. Ever so quickly. This is just the main page. This is just your profile page. It's going to have a cover photo, profile picture, and your links down below. We're going to have just dummy data in there for today. We just want to get everything set up so when we start the dashboard and start sending data to that page, such as your links, your name, your description, your profile photo, cover photo, stuff like that, that it knows where to go and we have a good place to start. So hang tight. This is going to be very quick. All right, let's get started. First, we're going to name the app. We'll call it Linktree Page for Nick. That seems really long, but we're going to go with it anyway. It's sort of a social network, so we're going to call it that for right now. It's customer facing for sure. We're not going to start with a template. We're going to leave the details blank. And the goal is we're going to build a tool for myself. And that's all there is to it. We'll wait for Bubble to load this up here, and then we'll get started. All right, now the Bubble's got us all loaded here. We're going to go ahead and get rid of the new application assistant. We don't need that. We're going to start from blank. We want to get this going our own way immediately. And the first thing we're going to do is change this page width to a clean 960. And the reason we're doing that is so it's easily divisible and we can keep up with where our columns are for responsive reasons. And that will become more clear as we move along. So the next thing we need to do here is we need to go ahead and grab a group, and we are going to make inside our 960 page, we're going to make a group that is 640 pixels wide. And that is so that it has this nice little section for it to be in the middle where we'd want a Linktree page, where we'd want our links to be, our profile picture. This is going to hold everything for us. So we're just going to center this up here. And there we go. Now we're ready to go. This is not going to move. This is going to be the house for everything. So we're just going to go right on into moving right along here and drag another group here at the top. Let's make it about 200 pixels tall. And this is going to be our cover photo. If I can type it. That's going to be our cover photo. And let's go ahead. A lot of times what I'll do is I will make these groups as I'm wireframing a site colors so that I know where everything is and I can tell. But since this page is so simple, we're just going to go ahead and put an image in. So we're going to change the background style to image. We're going to upload one, and I've got them right here. I've got this nice little purple background here. We'll center that up, and then it's good to go. Let's go ahead and add a roundness to the borders here. We don't want to do all. We want to define them independently because we don't want the top borders. We just want it to come down and look nicely right there. And that's our first bit done. That's our cover photo for right now. Again, these are placeholder images. Next week, we're going to talk about how to dynamically change them from the dashboard we'll be building. But right now, for this week, we're just going to leave them as placeholders. Let's drag another group in. This is going to be our profile picture. And we're going to have this exactly at the bottom of this group right here. So what we're going to want to do is subtract half of this, of the height of the element. So that's 140, so that's 70 from the height of the element up there, which is 200. So that's going to leave us with 130. And now that's perfectly in the middle. We can just center it horizontally, and it's exactly where it needs to be. We're gonna also make this one an image. Upload an image right here. And you'll see right there that we've got it in, but it doesn't look quite right. It doesn't look right at all. We're gonna go ahead and change our borders roundness. We'll just do 100. It can be anything above 70 to make a perfect circle, because that's what we want it to be, a circle. And that looks nice. That's what we're gonna have. And there we are. We're already done with our profile picture and our cover photo. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab a text element and make our display name. This will also be pulled dynamically once we get everything in the back end set up. For right now, let's just enter it in. We'll make it Beardville for right now. As far as the font size and type, let's go enter 700. I just think that looks like a really nice font. It's Google font, everybody has it, so it's going to work out for everyone. Let's make it 18. Let's center it, and then what we're going to do is change our line spacing to 1.5, which means that we know exactly the height of this element. In Bubble, the element height and the font height are two different things. And so we need to change this element height in order to get everything pixel perfect, so we know where this element is going to exist in relation to other elements, and we can space out appropriately. We need to get this element height perfectly instead of just dragging willy-nilly on the board. So in order to do that, and in order to have that text perfectly centered within that element, we're going to do a little quick math. We've got 18 font size up there, line spacing of 1.5. What we're going to want to do is multiply 18 times 1.5, and that's going to give us our exact height of this element that it needs to be. So that's going to put us at 27, and now that text is nice and perfectly centered, and we don't have to worry about it moving anywhere, and it's going to be just perfect. We're going to leave that about 10 pixels away from our profile picture and move on to our description text, our bio. We're just going to call it description text, because maybe it's not. You know, that gives us a little bit more options. And then we'll go down here. Let's go ahead and change it to enter again, but we don't want it 700. We want it to be a little bit less. We want the weight to be a little bit less than our username. So we'll leave it at 600. We'll leave it at 600. We'll give it a font size of 16, line spacing of 1.5. This is just going to be a rule of thumb that we're going to be using fonts under 32. We're going to be using a line spacing of 1.5. That way we can easily know what size this element needs to be. In this case, 16 times 1.5 is 24. And we'll just say for now, this is my description text. Center up that element. Let's also make it about 10 pixels apart from our other things. And then we're done with that. The next thing we're going to want to do is grab a repeating group. This is where our links are going to live. So for now, we can just drag it anywhere on the screen. We're going to want to do a couple of things with it. But for now, let's have it right here. We're going to call this repeating group links. We want to make this an extended vertical scrolling and row 1 and columns 1. I'd like to do it this way just so it's easier to see. It doesn't take up so much real estate on the screen. Once you have data in this repeating group, it will populate. It doesn't mean it's only going to have one. It's just for editing purposes right now that we only have one. So once we do that, let's make it the full width of this thing, 640 down here, and let's make it 100 pixels tall. Go ahead and put it a 10 pixels away from our previous element there, and we'll go ahead and grab it, drag in a group. Now, you might be asking why we're using a group. as opposed to a link in this scenario. And that's because we want to do a couple of different things. We want to style it like we want it. And we want to be able to run a workflow because we're going to be doing a lot of things with this group. And you can't run a workflow in Bubble on a link. So we need to make this a group so we can have it change on condition. We can pretty it up a little bit, and then we can also run workflows in the back end. They'll send us where we need to go. And also that's how we're going to be able to track those clicks later on in the build. So for right now, we've got a repeating group height of 100, just so everything's nice and evenly spaced out. We're going to make this 80. And so we want about 20 pixels, I think, on the sides of this. We want to leave a little bit of room so that these buttons don't butt up against the edge. So let's make this 600, and that gives us enough space for 20 pixels on the sides. And somehow our height down here got to 100. I knew that math didn't add up. Look, I'm not a math magician, but I knew that math didn't add up. And there we have it. There's our group that's going to house our links. Just so we can go ahead and be done here, we're going to do the same thing. Let's drag this all the way across. Let's center it. We want to enter again. For this, you want the links to stand out a little bit, so maybe an enter 700, a little heavier, so it can stand out a little bit. Let's do that. Let's leave it black for right. I was getting ahead of myself. We don't have a background on this thing, so we don't want to change our font colors just yet because we want to be able to see them. So we're going to go back down here, line spacing 1.5. That means we know, because we have a font size of 16, that we need to make this element size 24. Now, text, link, group, link. What we want to do here is we want to create a style for our buttons. We want this to look nice. So, instead of giving it a border, and you might think, okay, easy enough, go, border, go. No. That is 100% not what you want to do. And let me show you why. Let me demonstrate why real quick. You'll notice when I change the border size here, it moves the elements in size. They take up pixel space within the element. So it can move our elements inside that group around and even out of that element. And that's not what we want. That's not what that creates a level of jankiness that we can't live with and we don't want in our page. So instead of going with a border, we're going to go with an outset shadow. We're going to change the horizontal offset and the vertical offset to 0, so it's coming from right behind. Change the blur radius to 0. And then we're going to change the spread radius to whatever width you want this border. We want this one a little thicker. So let's change it to 4. And see, now you can have a nice border just like you would normally, but it won't mess with anything inside that group. You don't have to worry about anything shifting. We're going to change our roundness to 10. I like that just because it'll match our cover photo roundness that we've already used. And then we're done right here. Once we start working in the database, we'll get links sent dynamically to this repeating group, and then we'll be done. Let's go ahead and change the background of this site so we can start styling it appropriately. So, LinkedIn kind of has this Linktree kind of has this gradient thing going on in the back for default. I know you can change your styles, and they've got a bunch of different options as far as backgrounds go, but for right now, let's just try to match it best we can. This kind of default color that they use, this gradient, kind of a purple into a pink kind of deal. And I think that'll be just fine. shorten this page up a little bit just so the gradient appears, as you know, just so I can see what I'm working with here. And that'll be just fine. So now we can go ahead and change this text to the colors that we want. We change this box shadow. And there you go. Now everything's kind of looking like it should, kind of like it would on a Linktree page, and that's exactly what we want. We can even preview here. And there we go. We're on a good path. We're moving right along. But as you can see here, nothing's really happening. Nothing's in this repeating group. So let's go ahead and add some data in the database. The first thing we're going to need to do is create a new type. Right now we're working with links. Normally, I would suggest constructing your database at the very beginning of the build. But since we're doing just kind of an abridged version here, I wanted to just go ahead and do it as we go. And we only need a few data types right now for this specific bit, so it won't be too difficult. So under link, we need two fields. We need link title. That's going to be the text that appears in that repeating group. That's going to be the identifier. And then we need link URL. Obviously, that's where it goes. Not much of a link if it doesn't go anywhere. While we're in here, let's go ahead and create our user things, because we're going to need to store that cover photo somewhere, as well as our profile picture. Our username, and that description text. And that's all we need for this build right now, for this Linktree page wireframe that we're doing. So in order to get some data here, let's go over to the data tab. And let's just add a couple of links. So we'll say Instagram. And we'll do Instagram.com/NoCodeBros. That's us. You can go over there and follow right now. Let's also just do Twitter. Look at that, Twitter.com/NoCodeBros. Also a thing that you can go follow right now. So now when we go over to our page, give it a quick update. You see nothing, because we haven't changed the data for our repeating group, because we didn't have the data. This is another reason you might want to have your database set up at the beginning and not in the middle. So we're going to set our repeating group to type of links. We're going to do a search. For right now, we're just going to do a search for all links. We only have 2 in the database. That's fine. We're going to change this here group. We're also going to change its type of content to link, data source, current sales link. And that means we can go down here and make this our parent group links title. Now that we've done the things that we need to do, there we have it. There's our links. Now, you'll notice they're huge and gross. That is too huge. We don't want that. This is an easy fix. We want to set this group here. Let's give it a maximum width of 100. I want everything in this group contained in this nice little section here. And that's what we want to have happen. And if we do it on this outside group, then we don't need to worry about doing it to everything inside, because look, there we go. The outside group, the parent group, is handling all of that sizing for us. So that's fine. Let's get rid of this separator on our repeating group. And now we can go ahead And let's make these a little pretty. You might notice that they're not going anywhere yet. We're going to fix that with workflow shortly. But I would like to make them look nice first. So we're going to do this with conditionals. We're going to do this by saying when group link, that's this group, is hovered, we want to change the background style to a flat color. We want to change the background color to a white. We're also going to need to do the text, because if the background's white, we won't be able to see the text. So when group link is hovered, we want to change that font color. Let's change it to, let's try to match sort of that background color as best we can without doing too much here. And so that should be just enough. If we go over here, we'll get some nice, look at that. Look at that. Doesn't that look nice? Or does it? It happens a little too fast for me. Don't we want that to look a little bit smoother? So let's add a transition to it. We'll change that background style. We'll give it an ease. Let's also add a transition to the link title. And let's give it an ease as well. So now when we go over here, it won't just happen at us. It gets that nice little ease animation, and it looks so smooth. It's not so harsh and abrupt. Perfect. So that's it, quick and easy, just dragging stuff on a page today. Next week, we're gonna hook it all up and make it do what we want it to do. And we're going to be able to put data in that page dynamically. So don't miss that. Streams are Sundays at 11 a.m. Go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button if you don't want to miss a thing. If you want to get here and follow along with us on this Linktree clone. We're going to do more clones. We've got tips coming out. We've got how to build anything you want to build in Bubble. So stick here and we'll see you next time.